The title is not clickbait. I am going to die, but I just don't know when. And you're going to die, and you don't know when. And everybody and anything we've ever met, touched, smelt, whatever, is also going to die. We just don't know when. So yeah, sorry if that title upsets you, which I just gotta say, if you were expecting to come in here and be like, I'm gonna hear about this guy dying, why does it automatically gotta be that? Why do I have to be dying to have that title? And you're gonna get mad that I'm not dying. That would be kind of weird, wouldn't it? It says more about you than it does about me. But no, to try to bring up this video a little bit, I wanna talk about death because it has been something that has been on my mind for a long time. I've always been scared of the thought of death. I remember vividly going to a funeral when I was little. Didn't understand what was going on. I was just, everybody was dressed up nice. Everybody was kind of crying. I just remember walking around the freaking funeral home, just, being a kid. And then I vividly remember this moment when I was younger. I don't know how old I was, but I remember climbing up on my mom's bed and saying, "Mom, am I gonna die?" And my mom, I think my brain probably protects me from what she says. I don't think my mom lied to me and was like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna go to this and it's gonna be great and you don't have to worry about it." I don't think it was anything like that. I'm sure my mom, told me gently what was gonna happen, because I don't know that she would just flat out lie to me like that. But I remember since just being a kid, always having some kind of fear of death. And as I gotten older, when I was a teenager and in my 20s, it didn't affect me so much, but, I was always a hypochondriac, so I think maybe subconsciously I was always thinking about it, because, I think people that are hypochondriacs constantly worry about getting sick and getting a terrible illness because they don't want to die. I as somebody who has suffered from health anxiety for the last 4 years, I think that is the underlining reason for it. You can, if you also suffer from health anxiety and you don't think that's the reason, then let me know why. Maybe you just really hate being sick. I don't know. But yeah, I've always had this idea. There would be nights when I would just wake up in the middle of the night, 4 or 5 in the morning, and just be like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna die someday." And it would just freak me out. And I would have to watch videos of puppies, or I'd have to watch porn or something. I'd have to do something to get my mind off of it, because I'm like, go away. I was like, yes, you're going to die, but let's not think about that now. You know what I mean? And I even had to do it often. I literally had to do it last night, which was crazy because my brain, I've been, as I mentioned in one of the previous videos in this series, I'm trying not to research stuff. I'm really trying to overcome my anxiety so I don't have to get on medication. And I think my brain's like, we need to think about it even when you're sleeping. And I just had some bad dreams that, made me think I was going to die. It happened to be going on a plane. My brain was like, oh dude, what if we got on a plane and it crashed in the water and you weren't near an emergency seat and the cabin started filling with water and then you just drowned to death? Brain, what the fuck? So yeah, it's like that. That happens a lot. But, one of the reasons why I wanted to start Vita, and maybe you've picked up on this, is a lot of these videos have been pretty therapeutic. I am giving you information that I hope can help benefit you in case you were like me, right? In case you were somebody that was worrying about this stuff. Maybe you're worrying about it right now and you're just like, I wish I could relate to somebody. I'm hoping I can be that person to relate to, or tell you a little tidbit of stuff that will just, maybe give you some clarity, because I know I've gotten that from people as well. But over the last month or so, my brain has constantly been thinking about death. Unfortunately, one of my good friends' father passed away, and they passed away from I think it was liver cancer, and, we heard about it, and then he was gone. It was so fast, and I was just like, holy shit. So that freaked me out. A friend of a friend passed away, was younger than me, and I was like, what? That one shocked me the most, because I think when we deal with older people, we're like, well, maybe it was just their time and all that jazz, their body's failing them, and it's kind of a little bit easier. Not saying that it's not hard and it doesn't hurt and it doesn't like, you don't cry for it, but it's just kind of like, the cycle of life. When it's somebody young, that freaks me out, especially younger than me, because I'm like, how did they die? What did they do? Can I prevent that? And I think that's where a lot of it comes from, right? I think my brain, I understand that I'm going to die someday, 100%. Like, I know it's going to happen. It terrifies me. But I also think it might be a thing of control, because, technically you could control when you go out, but do not do that. Nobody do that. Please get help. There are lines for that. Get therapy. Do whatever you can. But for the most part, everybody that is just living normally and doesn't know when that's going to happen. You don't control when you're going to go out. You don't control what diseases you get or what health issues you might have. Or you don't control that dumbass that's driving his BMW down the street at 100 miles an hour in a fucking residential neighborhood. Like, you don't control that. And I think that's probably part of the scariest part of it. And then I think the other thing is, for me, I think what I've been learning about death is not necessarily the fear of, like, you're going to go out. Because I think once you get that news, like, hey, man, like, unfortunately, you have this, this, and this, and you got X, Y, and Z to live, I think everybody handles it differently. But I do think some people are like, oh, fuck. And you come to terms with it, right? You're like, damn, that's kind of tough. And it's sad, because, like, that happens to a lot of good people. But I think when you get, like, a timestamp on it, some people are going to keep fighting. Like, I should say this right now. My grandmother is going through a terminal diagnosis, but she ain't giving up. My grandma is gangster. She is constantly fighting, and, we hope that, if miracles exist, we hope we get one of those. But yeah, and that's another reason why I've been, like, fearing death too, because when it connects to people that are literally part of your bloodline, you're like, oh shit, is that gonna be me? Am I gonna get that in my genes and all that jazz? It's just terrifying. It's stuff you want to, like, look at, and it's funny. And I've told this to friends when it comes to this. And look, I love my friends. Thank you so much for still being my friend over these last 4 years. You know who you are. I have talked about my fears and anxieties for a long time, and I really appreciate my friends that have stuck by me, because they've probably heard the same shit over and over. But I think without having somebody to talk to about it, I might have spiraled even harder, you know what I mean? Because there's this weird thing about, like, just having that relatability when they're like, yeah, dude, I think about that too. And, like, yeah, I've had to go through that too. And it's just, it's like slightly comforting. Although with the anxious brain, it helps you for a little bit, and then you're just like, you spiral again. But, so that's kind of what I've been dealing with a lot lately, is just, like, coming to terms with that. It's why I made, earlier in the series, I made that video about, like, midlife crises and taking care of yourself. Because as I was mentioning to a friend, I feel like I'm probably the healthiest I've been in a really long time, if not ever. Like, I'm watching what I eat more. I'm still eating pretty terribly, but I am watching a little bit more of, like, oh, let me not eat as much fast food. Let me not eat as much junk food or candy. Like, every time I go to the store, I don't pick up a freaking candy bar, you know what I mean? Or a soda. Like, I've quit soda. And so, like, I go for a walk every day. I try to do workouts, like little easy ones. And, there are definitely things I could do better, but I do feel like I'm probably healthier than I've ever been, but my body thinks I'm not as healthy as I probably am. I went to the doctors and stuff, and I've gotten it all checked out, and, they're like, you're good, bro, nothing's going on, so I don't know what you're freaking out about. But, that is part of the anxiety, the death anxiety. I have been trying to do, like, exposure therapy for it. Like, I watched a whole series about this woman who, like, she was working for, like, a journal. It's called Dead Landing, if you want to go check it out, if you are somebody that wants to do some exposure therapy and you've been avoiding anything and all things that do with death. Go watch the series. This person also has death anxiety, and she goes and visits, like, she visits people that are dying. She visits people that have had near-death experiences. She visits, like, a convention where people want to live forever. Like, it's a very intriguing and interesting series, and yeah, I don't know. It's good actually. It's kind of scary. Again, if you fear death, it might be a scary series, but I also think it is very eye opening and really well done as well. So yeah, so that's been part of a lot of what I've been going through a lot lately. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to challenge myself with Vita, because I do think part of my fear of death is not accomplishing the things I wanted in life. I think that's really, really part of it. I genuinely think that. And I don't know when this video is going live. For full transparency, this particular video I am filming way in advance. This might be the penultimate episode of Vita, to be honest, because I already know the final video I want to do for Vita, and this might be the penultimate episode. But I just needed to get these thoughts out of my brain, and so that's why I'm recording it now. But I think, yeah, accomplishing things in my life, like as I get older, I'm like, oh shit, I'm closer to 40 than I am 30. And when I was 30, I thought like my 30s were going to be my year my decade that I was going to crush it. And I didn't expect to get anxiety. You know what I mean? I thought in my 30s, I was still going to I was going to get a manga out. I was going to get a comic out. Like, I think you can go check this out on my old channel. But I'm pretty sure I made a video where I said I was going to make a comic book. That never happened, which was insane. So, yeah, like, I got to go watch that video and why I said that. I think I pivoted decisions at that point. I think I was going to make a comic book, and then I decided, you know what? I'm actually going to be a full-time creator instead of doing that, because I probably realized how expensive comic books were, and I wasn't going to be able to afford an artist. So I decided to go full-time creator instead. That might have been what happened. I don't remember. It could be a year apart from those videos. I don't really know. But yeah, I think, going through therapy and like talking to friends, I really think my fear of death is that I haven't been able to accomplish what I want in life. Like, I haven't been able to drop those stories that I think can be amazing, that I do think people would enjoy. I haven't made a film that I would be proud of and something. Granted, I made some short films that I enjoyed, but I feel like I've grown so much since then that I want to make something better. I want to write a movie that people are like, oh my God, maybe it gets Oscar consideration. I don't know. There's like a lot of things that I want to do, and I haven't done any of them, which I think is another reason probably why maybe this is a midlife crisis, and I just haven't really pinpointed that. And that's why I mentioned in that midlife crisis video or self-care thing that maybe it is just tied to death. And that's why I talked about how I don't think we really talk about midlife crises having to deal with death so much, and it's just a lot of people feeling like they haven't accomplished anything. And maybe they're just both hand in hand. They just, TV shies away from the death part because that makes people scared. I don't know. But then again, we have violence all over the place, which I think is funny. So yeah, I want to say, if you are somebody that is also fearing death like I have for the last month, 2 months, or basically their whole life, try to figure out why. Like, is it because you haven't done something you've wanted to do? Is it because you feel like your time's running out? Does it feel like it's because, like, oh, I haven't got to travel or buy that, cottage on the ocean side that I've always wanted? Like, what is it? Like, there's got to be a reason, right? I think, yeah, of course, we all fear death, but none of us are getting out of here alive. So I ask you to ask yourself, why do you think you fear it so much? You know what I mean? I think when I was younger, it's because I just didn't want to die. But I think as I've gotten older, and I'm like, okay, well, that's going to happen. And I grew up on the age of the internet becoming a thing. So I saw some wild shit growing up, you know what I mean? And I'm not just talking about boobs and butts and stuff like that. Like, there was some wild shit that I witnessed, and like, it didn't faze me. And in today's day and age, we're seeing even crazier stuff just on Twitter. And like, granted, I try to avoid that stuff nowadays, but for the most part, that stuff for the longest time wouldn't faze me. I'd be like, ah. But when it comes to thinking myself, I'm just like, oh, damn, I'm gonna die. Like, it's just crazy. And I do think it's because, I shouldn't do this, but I know I do it, and I still openly admit it. I do think anxiety has taken the last 4 years of my life because, I had quit my job and I was like, I'm going to be a full-time creator. We had 2 months of amazing streaming and having a good time and it being awesome. And then I was making money too, which I didn't think was going to be happening. And then panic attack and ends my freaking full-time creator career. And yeah, so I feel like I genuinely didn't get to experience what I was hoping was going to be like the stepping stone in my life to get me where I wanted to get. And now I'm 4 years older and like, the big 4-0 is creeping up, in the next few years. And I'm just like, oh shit, I'm probably going to die. You know what I mean? Like, if 40 is that close, with the deathbed is getting even closer and I haven't done the things I want to do. And I've been trying to change that this year. Like I said, again, if this is the penultimate episode, I've talked about getting organized. I've talked about, doing things to set up a plan and not chase goals, but to actually put in the work to achieve the things you want in life. And that's what I've been doing this year. Again, I've said this before, but I think this is probably one of the more productive years that I've had. Last year was great for writing, but there was really no direction where that writing was going. I was just writing. But this year, I actually have directions of things I'm trying to accomplish. And hopefully, by the end of the year, one of those things is in the process of being done. So, yeah, I don't know. And maybe, just maybe, if I accomplish one of those things, that fear of death won't be as powerful. At least that's what I can hope, right? And maybe it won't be. Who knows? Maybe it's like those people that chase, like, I need every dream I've ever thought about. I need all the money. I need all the hot women and all that jazz. And, it doesn't do anything for them. And they're still miserable, right? That's the thing, though. I will say I do have days where I'm just like extremely fine and happy. And I'm like, you know what? This life ain't so bad. So I think it just kind of, it depends. But I think I'm just so driven that I need to see, like, it's funny. I don't know if you ever believe in jinxes, but I've been in too many times I've seen football jinxes happen. But I always feel like I've never liked speaking a lot of things into the world because I feel like if you speak it into the world, then yeah, it may happen, but I don't want to say the words like, I just want to see one of my projects come to life before I die, because then if I do it, then I die, I'd be super pissed. You know what I mean? I'd be so pissed if I got out like this is just a test project, and then, if there's a powerful being up there and they're like, he got one out, kill him! You know what I mean? That would fucking suck. So yeah, I don't know. But that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. It's been on my mind a lot lately. I know there are other people out there that fear death, and just wanted to let you know you're not alone. But I will say, try to figure out why you fear it. I genuinely think mine, and it doesn't have to be one reason. I think it could be multiple reasons, because I don't want to lose my family. You know what I mean? I don't want there to be that day when I don't go downstairs or I can't visit a family member, but I know eventually there's going to be that day. I've only ever lost one really close family member to me. That was my grandfather over 10 years ago. And so, and that was a horrible day. It was terrible. And the weeks after were terrible as well. But I do think time does heal. Some people don't believe that, but I do think it heals. Doesn't mean that you don't care or miss the person at all. You still love them just as much as you did, but it hurts. And those parts of death suck as well, because we always wish that the people we love would be around forever as long as we're alive. But unfortunately, life isn't fair like that. So, and I think that's also part of the reason why it kind of sucks, the whole death thing, because you're just like, why? It's not fair. I didn't get to do the things I wanted in life. And that's why I kind of also want to try to get out and do more this year as well, is because I feel like I haven't been doing that because I've been so scared with anxiety. I've luckily had some friends that live here in the city that are totally down to just hang out and do whatever. So I've been like, yo, you want to hang out this week? And they're, they try to make time in their schedules. So appreciate those friends out there that do that. Because that's been allowing me to get out there and I'm anxious when I'm fucking out there. I'm anxious at those places and my eyes are bugging out and I'm like, oh, damn, this sucks. But I still try to make it out there and I still try to make things happen because I don't want to be 60, 70 if I do get to live that long and being like, I should have tried harder, I should have done this, I should have done that. And I think that's why I'm trying to really make 2025 count and do things instead of just saying them in videos. You know what I mean? It's funny, I won't show you, but the calendar that is doing all of my, all of my projects and stuff is right here. And I will see it every day that I wake up because it's in my bedroom. And yeah, I do think that I have done a lot more in 2025 than I have in the last year or two because it is structured, it is scheduled. I can see it actually coming to fruition, or I can see my failures that force me to be more strict or more motivated to get these things done. So anyways, yeah, think it sucks. We're all gonna die, but hey, doesn't mean that you shouldn't enjoy life now. I feel like I could have talked about a whole bunch of other stuff like, oh, you should watch this video or watch that video that might make you feel a little bit better. But everybody's journey with this is going to be different. I do like, if you want a little pick-me-up, it's not, depends on how you feel about science and everything. But Neil deGrasse Tyson has some really interesting videos about death and like how you should just be lucky, no matter your conditions, no matter your anxieties, no matter your ailments, to have just been born, because it's like the lottery of being born is like so rare. And I found that to be very intriguing. So just to kind of enjoy what you got. And yeah, anyways, that's it. We're all gonna die, but hey, let's enjoy life as we can. But I'll see you in the last Vita vlog tomorrow.